Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. As I promised, today I will interview a scholar, a student, and a close friend. Raphael was in Israel many times, studied here for a semester in Tel Aviv, did his master's degree in Security and Diplomacy program at the Tel Aviv University, and today we will make an introduction about the country of Azerbaijan. So, Raphael, before this interview, I did some research. First of all, from what I hear, we both had some sort of experiences, let's say similar experiences. Both of us experienced, let's say, wars. Maybe it wasn't in your period, but you can explain to us more about that. I experienced the Second Intifada, and Azerbaijan witnessed actually the first and the second Chechen War. If you can tell us more about the decision making in Azerbaijan and maybe other post-Soviet countries about their decision making and what actually was this post-Soviet world like.
First of all, thank you so much, Liam, for having me. It's a great honor to talk to your audience. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, Azerbaijan gained the independence after the collapse of the Soviet Union, as you know. Those times were very, difficult times. We had a horrible economy. We had a first Nagorno Karabakh war at that time. Armenia started occupying our territories, internationally recognized territories. The first Nagorno Karabakh war ended in 1994. It lasted for 4 or 5 years, and then it ended. Azerbaijan was, going through a hard time, and we only managed to liberate our lands in 2020 after almost 3 decades. Throughout these years, we had almost a million refugees. They were living in horrible conditions because the country was poor at that time. There was no Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline. We built it later, and after that we started to let's say, earn money. We were selling our oil to other countries and strengthening our economy. In 2020, as you know, we liberated our lands from Armenian occupation. I will tell you one thing. I visited those territories in February of 2022, and I will tell you the fact that those cities were literally ruined. They destroyed everything there. They left nothing. They literally left nothing. And now, after the end of the second Nagorno Karabakh war, Israel is helping us to restore, and Israel is taking part in the reconstruction of those cities of that region. And for this fact, we are very grateful to the state of Israel. And hopefully we will do more in the future.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what you're saying is that I just want to clarify it. So you're saying that Israel is helping Azerbaijan to maybe regain territory, reconstruct cities, and maybe some sort of infrastructure. But actually, it leads me to my second question. I see that in many, let's say, Muslim countries, the communities are extinct at worst. We can see it in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon. Almost no Jews live there, and in the best case, not as they used to be. Like, not hundreds of thousands of people, but rather a few thousands, like in Morocco, in Iran. But from what I see, the Jewish community in Azerbaijan is actually thriving. They are successful. They are business owners. They even have their own village and their own city, I think. And
Exactly.
and they also keep their great heritage of the mountain Jews. if you could tell us more about this, because it feels really special, at least from my point of view, to see that a Muslim country is very accepting the Jews that live there for centuries.
Sure. Very nice question. Very nice question. I hope and I believe that your audience will be very happy to hear about this community, about this thriving community. Look, I'm a secular Shiite Muslim from Azerbaijan, and since my childhood, I have been interested in Jewish history, traditions, and culture. My affection for Judaism reflects a deeply rooted tradition in my country. Azerbaijan's Jewish community comprises Ashkenazi, Georgian, and Mountain Kafkazi, Jews, and they have existed for thousands of years. The Mountain Jews claim their ancestors came to the region following the Babylonian exile. Our European Jewish community was the largest in the South Caucasus. Baku's, the capital city of Azerbaijan, Baku's industrialization following the 1850s oil boom attracted qualified immigrants, including Ashkenazi Jews. Despite the fact that they were only making up only 4.5%, around 5% of the total population in 1913, the local Jewish community played a prominent role in advancing medicine, law, and business. You were talking about the district, about the old Jewish town. You are absolutely right. It's called the Red Town, or Kırmızı Kasaba in Azerbaijani. That's how we pronounce it.
Thank you.
This town is in the Guba district, in the northeast of the country. It's the world's only remaining old Jewish town outside of Israel. Can you imagine? And it owes its name to the red tiled roofs of its houses. I have been there many times. I did my military service there, actually, but it's a different story. So the Jewish presence...
God bless for your service, first of all.
The Jewish presence here in the region dates back 2,600 years. Approximately now, as far as I know, 3,000 people live today in Red Town. They speak a unique dialect of Persian. It's Judeo-Tat among other languages. They have their own language, but it's it's a dialect of Persian, I would say. It's also called as the Jerusalem of the Caucasus. It has two synagogues. One is the Sixth Dome Synagogue, which is open only in the summer, and the Gilaki Synagogue. It usually opens its doors for prayers in the winter. There's also a museum, and the Museum of the Mountain Jews has recently opened around 4 or 5 years actually, and it documents a rich history and shows the history to be an inseparable part of the Azeri history. We are an example of Jewish-Muslim coexistence. Azerbaijan is a beacon of multiculturalism. We have always been proud of this heritage, promoting equality and tolerance among all faiths, and enabling the Jewish community to thrive and prosper in ways unfamiliar in other parts of the Muslim world.
Exactly. Actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
In December, we'll tell you one story. It was in December of 2021 when I joined other, non-Jewish Azeri guests in Hanukkah celebrations in Baku, led by Chief Ashkenaz Rabbi Shneur Segal. We prayed together and lit the candles of the menorah. He also hosted me for a Shabbat dinner at the synagogue in Baku. When he poured kosher wine for me to drink, I kind of declined, reminding him gently that I am a Muslim. That I don't drink a lot. I drink alcohol, but I don't drink a lot. And he quipped by saying that when a rabbi pours it, you cannot refuse. I drank.
I also know that in the Kavkaz, if someone offer you a drink, you should drink it, because it's actually promoted. Exactly. If you don't drink, it's actually promoted. It's actually seen as an insult. But from what I hear from you, the Jewish community in Azerbaijan is very thriving. It's part of the history.
Exactly.
Now I want to put it on the other side. In Iran, there is also Jewish community, but
Yeah.
they mostly live in what we could say in a prison. But from what I hear,
Exactly.
I put the Jews in the side for a minute because I want to focus on something else important. I read that it is true. Azerbaijan is mostly a Shia Muslim country. And the first thing that comes to mind, especially with my audience, is that the Shia immediately connects us to the Hezbollah in Lebanon, the regime of Bashar al-Assad, though he wasn't Shia, but he was very supportive of Iranian presence. But also with the regimes like in Yemen and even parts of Pakistan. If you can tell more about the tensions, if they do exist, between Iran and Azerbaijan, because it seems like we are missing something.
Sure, Liam. But I also wanted to add something to the second question, and then I will come back to the third question. Is it okay for you?
Yeah, sure, go
Because I
ahead.
need to add this information. Yeah. Um, I will tell you one thing. Look, unlike in Europe and America, we all know what's happening in the cities of Europe and in the cities of streets of America. The synagogues in Azerbaijan have no security, and their doors remain unlocked even at night. There is no reason to fear thieves, let alone anti-Semitic bigots. Jewish people can proudly walk in the streets of Baku wearing a kippah or a Star of David necklace without the risk of being attacked. Jews who have come to think of Shiite Islam as an enemy should keep in mind that the existence of a secular Shiite nation where Jewish life is welcomed and protected, and where Israel finds a trusted friend. So, well, Azerbaijan, yeah, most of the population they worship Islam, Shia Islam, but it's a secular state. At the end of the day, it's a secular state. Coming to the third question, Iran's goal, during the war, it was they wanted to intervene in the war, share intelligence with Armenia, and therefore impede Azerbaijan's successful military operations. They actually crossed the border because the Iran-Azerbaijan border on the Karabakh side was not under the control of Azerbaijani forces for almost 30 years. They smuggled weapons, drugs to Europe via Karabakh during the years of occupation. There was one military campaign named Aras Valley campaign. And it was actually the watershed moment because Azerbaijan took full control over the Azerbaijan-Iran border. Therefore, Iranian armed forces withdrew from Karabakh. This border is one of the most unstable borders in the world. If I'm not mistaken, back in 2022, the Iranian regime initiated an intimidation campaign against Azerbaijan. They were claiming it was harboring Azerbaijan was kind of harboring Israeli agents. So the Mullah regime ordered its forces to cross the Aras River on the border between the two states and conduct military drills with armed vehicles, fighter jets, and helicopters. Our president responded to those military drills with a picture where he embraced an Israeli Harop drone that angered the Ayatollahs. I will never forget that picture, that moment. Nowadays, and after we gained independence, we have been using the most advanced camera systems and electronic sensors purchased from Israel to monitor our borders with Iran and Armenia. These systems assist operations conducted by special forces. In fact, some claim that the fact that after the war, the Lachin corridor was controlled by Russian peacekeeping forces. I remember the fact that the Iranian trucks were passing. They passed the corridor without informing Baku, thus violating Azerbaijan's territorial integrity. We warned Iran's ambassador to Azerbaijan, but we also, with the help, of course, of Israeli cameras, we monitored the trucks continuing. We saw that the trucks were continuing to flow to Karabakh. Then we decided to apprehend the drivers and interrogate them, and we found out that they were transporting illegal deliveries. So situation at that time was really horrible because in 2023 they also, in January of 2023, they attacked our embassy in Tehran, in the middle of Tehran. Can you imagine that? They, how did they? I mean,
It
do
also
that?
reached
It's
to it's
horrible.
also reached to us those news. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Remember that
exactly.
too.
Yeah, yeah. They and few weeks ago, it was in March. Yeah, it was in March, at the beginning of March, if I'm not mistaken. They attacked our airport in Nakhchivan. Can you imagine that? I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible to imagine that. They attacked many countries. They attacked the Gulf countries. They attacked you. They want to make a mess in the world. They want to
Exactly,
make a
but
mess, and they
I
also want to wipe the Jewish state off the map. Yeah,
yeah, we heard
that's
that.
what
We
they
heard
want.
that, and look, in the last 2 months, we wiped out their entire leadership. But I also noticed that there is also the Azerbaijanis who live in Iran. But we will talk about that in a future video. I hope it will. I
Yeah,
hope so.
yeah,
But actually, you mentioned earlier the countries of the Gulf, and I want
yeah.
to say something to my audience first of all, that it is worth noting that Azerbaijan had a crucial part in the Abraham Accords between the UAE, Bahrain, and Israel. So, if you could explain about how the Azerbaijani foreign affairs view the Abraham Accords, and if there are any options for the future.
Sure, sure. That's a very nice question. Nice question to talk about. Um, Ye- I want your first of all, I want your audience to know about the fact that Azerbaijan established relations, diplomatic relations with the Jewish state even before Jordan made peace with Israel. Can you imagine that?
I didn't know that.
Uh,
Thank you for letting us know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. Um, Look, we have been an example for the Arab world. We have been enjoying great relations over 3 decades. Um, Azerbaijan, of course, was played a key role, a crucial role in making peace between the Arab countries and Israel, uh, because, in a sense, Azerbaijan's potential accession could symbolize a new chapter in modern diplomacy, one that is not built on static alliances but on dynamic, interest-driven cooperation. We, if approached with strategic foresight and sensitivity to public sentiment, uh, uh, our inclusion may also serve as a bridge not only between the Islamic world and Israel, but also between the Middle East, the South Caucasus, and Central Asia. But that's not a problem for us because we have already been enjoying great, excellent relations over 30 years. We did play a crucial role, as I mentioned earlier, because we showed the Gulf countries that there is a possibility of Muslim and Jewish coexistence. So we were an example. And I recommend your audience to watch the video about Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to Azerbaijan back in 2016. When he visited the presidential palace of the President Ilham Aliyev, he mentioned the fact that the Arab world needs to look how the relations between the Jewish and the Muslim state can thrive. And after 4 years, in 2020, United Arab Emirates, Morocco, Bahrain, later Sudan, and later, I mean, it was recently announced, Kazakhstan decided to join the Abraham Accords. So it's good to see that Israel is, the Arab countries are making peace with Israel, and it will definitely boost Israel's economy. It will make the region more stable than it used to be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that I read in the ancient times the region was far more, let's say, it was flourishing. It was, let's say, a heaven on earth. It wasn't the desert of fighting tribes that we know now. But actually, it leads me to my final question. You know, we have to give our audience a bit of optimism.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
see,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see, I see that in the news that very recently both Azerbaijan and Armenia chose to resolve the issue of Nagorno Karabakh through American mediation, especially through Trump. I see that, and as far as I read as well, the Azerbaijani people are choosing to distance themselves from their former from the Russians, because I know that the Russians were the main force of mediation between Armenia and Azerbaijan. It didn't get anywhere. But do you think
Exactly.
that? Do you see that as a final question? Do you see Azerbaijan let's say one of the key pro-Western and pro-Israeli powers in the future of this region, in the Caucasus and the Middle East?
That's a very great question. Actually, it's a very nice question. So first of all, let's start from the Armenia-Azerbaijan peace agreement, which was signed in Washington. It was not signed in France. It was not signed in Moscow. It was signed with the mediation of the United States President Donald Trump, who initialed an agreement and signed a joint declaration emphasizing the need to continue efforts toward the signing and final ratification of the agreement. There was also one concession. There was a concession made by Armenia, and it was the withdrawal of our Russian defensive forces from the Armenia-Azerbaijani border. Yeah, we all know that the Russians left the region, left the Karabakh. It's the series of, the Karabakh region in 2024. And the Russians and the Iranians are very angry now because they cannot play a role in this process. It's a shame for those countries. I mean, it's a shame for our northern neighbor, and it's a huge shame for the Ayatollahs. Huge shame. Azerbaijan, indeed, it played a key role, I would say, in bringing the the Gulf states to the table, and we wanted them to sign the peace agreement with Israel to recognize it as a Jewish state. And now we also see that Armenia is also distancing itself from Russia and Iran. They are trying to conduct a foreign policy based on their national interests. And we are, of course, we have always been pro-Israel. We have always been also pro-American. But the previous administration, the Biden administration, didn't get along with us. They didn't like us at all. But the Trump administration, Donald Trump is a very close friend of Azerbaijan, as well as a very close friend of Israel, and hopefully we will make a lot of amazing things in the future. I really believe in it, and as an Azerbaijani, I've always been proud of the fact that Azerbaijan and Israel have been very, good friends, close friends. Proud of
Yeah,
it, of
very.
course. And
Yeah, I can see that many times in the media. I also listen to parts of the Azerbaijani media, whatever I can. It
for
is
sure.
very, let's say, it's supportive of Israel, but I think it's more like of an maybe anti-Iranian sentiments. I don't know. I mean, you know better than me. Thank you very much, Raphael. I will see you again in the future. I really, really thank you, man.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. And all the best to you, to your audience, and to the Jewish state, and to our friendship. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
a lot, man. I really appreciate it. To keep yourself informed and get the best updates on my channel, make sure to subscribe and like the video.